What is up? What is up, chat? How's it going, guys? What's up, Dee Dee? Nice of you to join. Hey, Katie. Glad you're here. What's up, Luke? How's it going, Luke? Wing Chun Boys. Glad you could join. Diego. Nikki. What's up, Nikki? Hey, Hope. Hi ho, hi ho. It's off to the stream you go. Darth Claire. What's up, Claire? Can you get a song if I fail at Wordle? I never fail at Wordle. Is that a thing now? Is that a ritual that we're gonna do now before the stream? Just do a Wordle. What's my record for Wordle? What was it last time? It took me like what 28 minutes to do the Wordle for the day. 28 minutes. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why. I usually take it usually takes me much faster when I do it off stream. For some reason on stream, there's like I have like performance anxiety or something. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so now you know, like whenever I need to perform, it takes me about I last about 30 minutes. What's up, King Aroma Snow? What's up? Go fast now. How's it going? Lady Koi. You got a 2-row solution on Wordle? Okay, don't tell me what the Wordle is. We're gonna do it in a bit. Okay, don't spoil. So I have a regular video ready. Okay, it's not up yet. I have a regular video ready. It's ready. It's a sponsored video, so the sponsor needs to review it before we let it go live. Yeah, they just need to look at it. They need to look at the ad. Usually, when it's a sponsored video, they want to look at the ad to see, to make sure you're not like talking shit about the sponsor, right? Yeah. So once they review it, then I can publish it. But it's in the works, guys. In the works. Yeah. I got in trouble once with a sponsor where I made a few jokes that I thought were really funny. But it kind of implied that the sponsor was a murderer, or like the people who worked at that company were murderers. Yeah, I thought it was funny. They didn't think it was funny, so they reviewed it and they were like, no, you gotta change this. You gotta change this, okay? We don't want to be seen to be looked up, but we don't want to seem like murderers. So, and I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, it's really funny. Are you sure? He's like, and the guy I was communicating with through email, he was like, let me be clear. This should be changed. You gotta change this. Yeah. So I did, which sucks. But anyways, can you tell us what the video is about? No. Cannot. No spoilers. What product? Well, I can't tell you. Because, like, I can't tell you, okay? I can't tell you what the company is because it's kind of talking bad about them, right? But yeah. Dun, 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 dun. So now, yeah, whenever I do a sponsored thing, I have to make sure that it's very clean. I have to make sure that it's content that they're not they won't get mad at. Oh well. Did I really ask them if they're sure? I was kind of like I wanted to keep some parts in, right? I want to keep some little like a few of the parts in because I thought they were funny. Right, so I asked them like, oh, I sent them a new script, right? A new script of the ad, and it had a few. I took out a few parts that they wanted taken out, but I kept a few in. Right, I changed it a little bit, but I kept a few in, just to keep the gist of the joke. And I like sent them the script, and they're like, no. What are you doing? We said you can't say that. I'm like, okay, fine. Fine. They're lost, right? I know. I thought it would. Anyways. You remember when I had 2K 2K subscribers? Wow, you've been here for a while. Because that was like, what, 3 years ago? When the channel had 2K? Negotiation skill? Well, negotiation skills were bad. Because I didn't get what I want. You think it was NordVPN? It was not NordVPN. Nope. So NordVPN is okay. You can't keep listing sponsors too, because I'm not gonna say. All right, let's do the Wordle for the day. Okay. All right, my record was 28 minutes last time. We only did it twice. Okay. But this time, I'm telling you, this time it's gonna be like 1 minute. Okay, I'm gonna be super fast. All right. You can't stop staring at this. Yes. Well, keep staring. All right. I'm gonna stop looking at chat. All right, time me. It's 6:08 right now. Let's go. Start with this, always. Ooh, already got one. And I like to go next with something like stomp. Just to rule out the S and T. And oh, okay, you guys. It's gonna be super good. I can feel it. Store. Tor. This has to be O then, no. This can't be R. So let's see, T. O-T-X-E-R. Otter? It could be otter. It can only be otter. Right? It can only be otter. Fuck! Otter. 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 Other. Is there anything else? Oh, ocker. Yeah. That was 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. A big. That's the record now. I have broken the 28-minute record. Holy shit. What's up, Sakura? You think my Wordle is yesterday's? Oh yeah, because you live in a different time zone. Okay. 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 Do I win something? Hell yeah. That was 2 minutes. You forgot about other? The hard thing, alright. These words are easier. The hard words are the ones with the double letters. Like with TT. Because those are really hard to guess. Because when you're guessing the letters in your head, you forget about the letters that are already there. I'm a pro, okay? I'm a professional now. Okay. My middle name is Wordle. Okay. I came out of my mom's womb playing Wordle. So, you know, I'm kind of an expert. So mine is my distribution. Oof. 5 times. Almost died. Oops. 5 times. Almost died. At the 6th guess. Okay. Let's eat something before we get started. Oh, wait. I have some mini mochi today. See it? Hell yeah. They're sugar coated. So it should be good. Oh, it comes in this little plate. See? Alright, which one? The pink one? I think they're all the same flavor though. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, okay. The sugar is falling all over the place. Hmm. A little bit sweeter than I would like, but it's still pretty good. Hmm. Okay. Wait, let me clean up the sugar. Ah, it's all over my desk. That's pretty good. That was 8 out of 10. How about that? I don't think it was strawberry flavored. No, it's just sweet. How does it smell? What do you mean? It smells like sugar. I don't know. It doesn't smell like anything. You have to really taste it. You like soy sauce coated mochi? Is that a thing? You're curious, what are some of the stuff that is posted on the Patreon feed? Not gonna lie, I don't post a lot on the Patreon stuff. On the Patreon feed. Yeah. When I have stuff, so it used to be that when I have a lot of stuff that that I can't put in the video, like it would make the video too long. So a lot of times I'll keep some stuff out of the videos. And it used to be like I would put that stuff up on the Patreon, right? Just research stuff. So I do a lot of research for the videos, and you can't put all of the research into the videos, right? So you have to pick and choose. So I used to, the stuff that don't go in the videos, I'll just put them up on the Patreon. Just write up a thing about it. But I haven't done that in a while. So honestly, you're not getting anything on the Patreon. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I should do that more though. It was just pink. Yeah, the mochi's just pink. Has no flavor. Okay. Anyways. Did I just sabotage myself? Hey, it's the truth, okay? It's the truth. Hopefully I have more time. When I have more time, I'll put more stuff on the Patreon feed. But right now, these days, you don't get anything. You don't get nothing. You get the joy of supporting a creator. That's what you get. I believe I did put a video of me karaokeing for like 20 seconds or something. Or 10 seconds. Yeah. So you get that if you can look for it in the archives. All right. What are we doing? Okay. So what happened last week in our story? What happened last week? So we're in the Imperial Palace of Dali, and the yellow-browed monk and this Cui Baichuan guy, who was the guy who was hiding in the Imperial Palace. They were talking about telling stories about what happened in the past when they met this Mu Rongbo guy. Okay, and it seems like this Mu Rongbo guy. Remember, he's a guy who's been killing a lot of people. All right, and so the gist of all their stories is that this Mu Rongbo guy is super strong and fearsome, right? So yeah, that happened. Mu Wanqing leaves with her master because she doesn't know what to do here anymore. Her lover turns out to be her brother, so she leaves. And then for one reason or another, everyone ends up in the 10,000 Calamities Gorge, and Zhongling jumps into this little tunnel underneath her room, and then a bunch of people jump in after her, like all the three evils, right? Because Yun Zhonghe, he wants to capture her, so he jumps in and he grabs her feet, and then her dad jumps in to pull him out. He grabs at his feet, and the Divine Croc and Ye Ernang, the two other evils, they jump in and they also grab at each other's feet. On the other side, there are other people pulling at Zhongling, right? Which was Cui Baichuan and the yellow-browed monk. So you have this long chain of people, right? And then Don Yu tries to pull them out too. And remember, he has that martial arts to suck people's energies, right? And he doesn't. I don't think he knows about it, and he doesn't know when it works. But he grabs at the guy's feet and he touches that meridian point, right? He touches the right meridian points, and he sucks all their energies, right? He just sucks all the energy of everyone in the chain. And then they get pulled out. So he sucks the energies of the 3 out of the 4 great evils: Zhong Wanchou, Cui Baichuan, and the yellow-browed monk. So I think half of everyone's chi were sucked away and into Duan Yu. So he's super strong now. He has a lot of chi. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think he knows it yet. He doesn't know, but he's really powerful right now. Okay. Unfortunately, he doesn't know any martial arts, so he can't fight. But he's really strong right now. And that's what happened. That's it. Do 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 do. All right. All right. So here we go. Chapter 10: Gleaming Sword Across Dark Smoke, or Sword Chi and Lines of Jade Smoke. Early in the morning, Duan Zhengchun bid his wife and son farewell. Upon hearing Duan Yu say that Mu Wanqing had already slipped away with her mother the previous night, he seemed dazed for a long time. He let out a sigh, then inquired as to the status of Cui Baichuan and Guo Yanzi. He was informed that the two had left early in the morning. Remember, Cui Baichuan is the guy who was hiding in the Imperial Palace, and Guo is his nephew who came to get him, right? Because his nephew came to inform him that his sworn brother was killed by that Mu Rongbo guy. So it looks like Zhengchun, Duan Yu's father, is going away for some reason. He was informed that the two had left early in the morning, traveling northwards. Following this, he took the 3 ministers and 4 imperial guards to meet with Emperor Bao Ding before departing with the monks Huizhen and Huiguan for Luliang Prefecture. Duan Yu escorted him for 10 li past the eastern gate before turning back. So it seems like they're going to the Shaolin Temple or some temple. The emperor and Duan Yu's dad. By now it was afternoon. Emperor Baoding was within his palace, reading and reciting Buddhist scriptures, when a eunuch named Zhan Shi from Duan Zhengchun's palace entered with a message. Reporting to your majesty, your imperial brother's son has fallen ill to some sort of strange disease. The imperial doctor has already been dispatched to investigate. Emperor Baoding had been worried all along that Duan Yu might not have escaped from Crown Prince Yanqing's poison without injury. He immediately sent 2 of his own eunuchs to further investigate the situation. After an hour had passed, the 2 eunuchs returned with news. Your imperial crown brother's son's disease is a serious one. His mind seems to be deranged. Emperor Baoding was inwardly alarmed. He immediately left his palace, heading towards the South Subduing Palace to personally investigate. As soon as he reached Duan Yu's bedchamber, he could hear a cacophonous series of sounds without end. Pung, pung, ping, pung, ka la, xiang lang. It was as though many household utensils were being smashed. The servants outside the room immediately knelt. Upon seeing the emperor, a look of panic was on their faces. Awesome sound effects. I need to be better at using the sound effect. I have a couple. We don't have any household utensil sounds though. Upon entering the room, Emperor Baoding saw Duan Yu dancing in the middle of the room like a madman, tossing and throwing about all sorts of household items, including the tables and the chairs. The 2 imperial physicians were dodging this way and that way, a pitiable sight. Emperor Baoding cried out, "You what's wrong?" Duan Yu was still quite clear-headed. However, the internal energy flowing throughout his body was simply too powerful, raging as though it were preparing to burst forth from his chest. Okay, it looks like he's having a lot of problems because he just sucked in too much energy. If he waved his arms about and destroyed some things, he felt slightly more comfortable. Upon seeing Emperor Baoding enter the room, he called out, "Uncle, I'm about to die!" His 2 hands frantically drew circles in the air as he spoke. Dao Baifeng, that's his mother, was standing off to one side, tears flowing. She said, "Elder brother, Yu was perfectly fine this morning. When he saw his father off, I don't know how or why, but he's suddenly gone mad." Emperor Baoding consoled her. "Sister-in-law, it must be that the drugs he was poisoned with in the 10,000 Calamities Gorge have not fully been eradicated yet. It won't be too hard to cure." He said to Duan Yu, "How are you feeling?" Repeatedly stamping his feet, Duan Yu replied, "My entire body feels swollen and is incredibly painful." Emperor Baoding saw that the skin on his face and his hands seemed unblemished and perfectly normal, without the slightest sign of swelling at all. This clearly was a case of Duan Yu's mind being confused. He couldn't help but furrow his forehead. Cacophonous? Cacophonous means like just a lot of like really loud sounds. Just an overwhelming amount of like sounds. Like a cacophony. Yeah, like loud, noisy. involving or producing a harsh, discordant mixture of sounds. As it were, this was caused by his draining of a small half of the internal energy reserves of those 5 martial artists last night. At the time, he hadn't noticed anything amiss, and after he had seen his father off, he went home and took a small nap. In the midst of his slumber, his internal energy began to circulate improperly and instantly began to rush about wildly. Duan Yu had immediately jumped up and began to exercise the steps of the graceful steps upon the waves. But as he moved faster and faster, the energy in his body only grew more and more agitated, growing even wilder and even less controllable. Right away, he began to shout and howl, terrifying everyone in the household. An imperial physician opined, "Your Majesty, his pulse is incredibly strong and vigorous right now. It seems as though his blood vessels have become enormously dilated. In your humble servant's opinion, a little bit of bloodletting may prove helpful. May we try it?" Yes, bloodletting. Very helpful. Thinking to himself that this idea might have some merit, Emperor Baoding nodded. "Fine, go ahead and bleed him a little." The imperial physician replied, "Yes, sir." Opening his medicine bag, he retrieved from within a porcelain box a particularly large and fat leech. Leeches were considered to be an excellent way to bleed a patient, as it could draw away a patient's blood conveniently but not cause pain. Opined definition? Oh, you really want to get me today, don't you? Definition of opined is I think it's to say something in a worried way. Say something worriedly. Like you're I think. Or does it mean something else? Let's go with that. Saying something in a worried way. How about that? Or a lamentable way. Ooh. Worried. Fuck! Not even close! So it means to suggest something. To hold and state as one's opinion. God damn it. Alright, you got me. Wow, we just started. What the hell? Slow down. You think the leech is going to explode? Maybe. Oh, what if the leech dies? Because remember, he still has poison. He has that poison from the frog that he ate. Remember? Grabbing onto Duan Yu's forearm, the imperial physician carefully placed the leech directly on top of a blood vessel. But as soon as the leech touched Duan Yu's body, it began to writhe and squirm. No matter what the imperial physician did, it refused to bite Duan Yu. The imperial physician was startled. He forcefully pressed the leech down against Duan Yu's blood vessels. After some time passed, the leech's body grew stiff. It had actually died. Oh, got him. The imperial physician, having humiliated himself in front of the emperor, began to sweat. He hurriedly withdrew a second leech from his medicine bag, but to no effect. It too ossified and died. Oh, it's the verb form of opinion? Is it? Really? Oh, that makes sense. Opine is to give your opinion. Ah, should have thought of that. A worried look on his face, the other physician interjected. Your Majesty, he must have been poisoned by some sort of powerful toxin. Even the leech was poisoned to death. He had no idea that Duan Yu had swallowed the king of 10,000 poisons, the cinnabar toad. Any sort of serpent or vermin, upon smelling Duan Yu, would fearfully scurry far away. Even the most venomous of vipers would be cowed into submission, much less a mere leech. One last question. We still get the charms if we buy a high enough tier. Well, the what was it? If you at the $10 tier, you get a charm, right? A charm or 2 stickers, I believe. And the $25, you get 2 charms or 4 stickers. Bells for the leech. Okay. Bells for the leech. Definition of ossified. Oh my god, how many songs do you want me to sing today? Why is it that in my mind, I'm thinking ossified means to turn into a rock? I don't think that's right though. I think it's just I think just it means its body went stiff. So ossified to go stiff. Okay. Ossify. To become rigid or fixed. There you go. A worried look on his face. The other physician. Wait. Emperor Baoding was extremely worried. He asked, "What sort of poison is it, for it to be so incredibly lethal?" The physician replied, "In your humble servant's opinion, your nephew's pulse seems to be incredibly dry. He must have been poisoned by some sort of extremely hot poison. But as to exactly what that poison might be, well, that is, forgive your humble servant's inadequacy." The other physician said, "I disagree. His pulse appears to have a deficiency of yin. The toxin must be cold in nature. A hot toxin may neutralize it." In reality, Duan Yu's body was not only bursting with powerful, vigorous, masculine yang internal energy, or yang, from the yellow-browed monk, the divine croc, and all those people that he sucked energy from, but also with the soft yin energy from Yu Erniang and Yun Zhonghe. So men have yang energy, and women have yin energy. Oh wait, Yun Zhonghe is a dude. Never mind. I guess his martial arts is yin-based. Each of the physicians could only grasp half of the problem, and thus were unable to come up with the real answer as to why he was so ill. Emperor Baoding listened as the 2 physicians debated each other incessantly. They were the finest medical minds Dali had to offer, and yet their diagnoses differed so radically. However, it was inarguable, that his nephew's illness was bizarre to the extreme, stretching out the Shi, Zhong, and Wu Ming fingers, which were the index, the middle, and the ring fingers. He gently touched the Li Chi acupoint on Duan Yu's wrist. The scions of the Duan family had a strange characteristic. Unlike ordinary people whose pulses flowed through the Tun Ko point, theirs flowed through the Li Chi point. This was what physicians termed the reversed juncture pulse. Upon seeing Emperor Baoding demonstrate a profound knowledge of medicine with this simple movement, the 2 famous physicians were in awe. One of them said, "This is written in medical books, a reversed juncture pulse. On the left hand is the sign of nobility. One on the right hand is a symbol of wealth. For both hands to have a reversed juncture is a sign of great nobility and great wealth. His Highness, the self-subduing prince, and his nephew all have the reverse juncture pulses on both hands." The other one opined, one needn't test their acupoints to know that these 3 are of great nobility and wealth. The first one replied, "That isn't the point. For his nephew to have two reverse juncture pulses is a sign that although this illness is certainly fearful, it will not prove to be a serious problem. The second physician disagreed. He secretly thought to himself, "What? No one who is both rich and noble can die young?" But he didn't dare say this aloud. I said turn to stone. Wait, no. I also said to stiffen, right? Which is what to ossify means, right? To become rigid or fixed. Yeah, I think I got that one. Emperor Baoding found that his nephew's pulse was both strong and quick. If it continued, how could his heart possibly stand the strain? He exerted the slightest bit of pressure with his finger, trying to discover any irregularities within Duan Yu's internal energies circulatory system. Immediately, his own internal energy began to flow towards Duan Yu, disappearing without a trace. Greatly astonished, he hurriedly released Duan Yu. So I think whenever you touch Duan Yu's thumb, right, because there's an acupuncture point there, that's where he sucks your energy from. So I think if you touch that point and you exert some chi to, if you exert some chi on it, he sucks your chi. He sucks your energy. He was unaware that Duan Yu had already learned the divine art of the northern darkness and mastered the Shou Tai Yin Fei channels of absorption. The Lie Chi acupoint is just so happened to be part of that set of meridian channels. When he exerted his internal energy, he only filled Duan Yu's body with even more energy. Duan Yu cried out, "Ow!" His entire body began to violently shake, trembling without end. Emperor Baoding retreated 2 steps. He said, "Yuer, did you somehow come across Ding Qing Cui of Xing Shui Hai?" Duan Yu replied, Ding Qing Cui? Your nephew doesn't know the person. Emperor Baoding replied, "Rumors say that he is an old man with the appearance similar to that of a Taoist divinity in paintings." Duan Yu replied, "I've never met him before." Emperor Baoding said, "This man is learned in heretic and evil martial arts, and is a master at dissolving and destroying the internal energy of others with some sort of skill called the great art of energy dissipating. He can cause the internal energy with which a martial artist has cultivated all his life to be destroyed in a day. There is nobody in the Wu Lin world who does not utterly despise him. If you had never met him, how could you have learned this evil skill?" Now it looks like it's a bad martial arts. It's an evil martial arts. Duan Yu hurriedly replied, I have never learned such a skill. Ding Qin Qiu and the great art of energy dissipating. This is the first time I've ever heard of either. Emperor Baoding felt that Duan Yu wouldn't lie to him, much less try to dissipate his own internal energy. Suddenly another thought hit him. "Ah, I know. It must be that Crown Prince Yanqing learned this heretic skill. Somehow he must have found a way to implant the art within Yuer's body, with the intention of using Yuer to harm me and brother Chun. This man claims to be the most evil man in the world. He lives up to the reputation." Chi vampire? Chi vampire, true. You can't remember where Duan Yu learned this skill? Remember he fell down that jade cliff? And he found the booklet, the martial arts manual. I think that's where he learned it, right? From the manual? Yeah. So he doesn't know who wrote it, right? He just read it. He saw Duan Yu randomly scratch and tear at his body, ripping his clothes to utter shreds. Bloody lines began to appear on Duan Yu's body. It was only with an effort that he managed to refrain from howling out, but continuous groans escaped from his lips. Dao Baifeng repeatedly tried to console him. You just endure it for a bit longer. Everything will be all right soon. Emperor Baoding thought to himself, what a difficult problem. I must seek advice from the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. He said, I'm going to take you to pay your respects to a number of elders. I'm sure that they will have some way to cure this vile poison. Duan Yu replied, yes, sir. Dao Baifeng hurriedly retrieved a new set of garments for her son to change into. Emperor Baoding escorted him out of the palace, each mounting a chariot. They rode for Mount Diantang. The Heavenly Dragon Monastery was located outside of the city of Dali, being situated in the northern peaks of the Diantang Mountains. Its formal name was the Sublime Sage Monastery, but the citizens had become accustomed to simply calling it the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. It was built on the shoulders of Mount Diantang, facing the waters of a river, an utterly lovely sight. The monastery had 3 pagodas, which were built during the Tang Dynasty. The largest one was 16 stories high, stretching over 70 meters. At the top, the following words were inscribed in metal. Virtuously built by Yu Qi Qing, loyal officer of the Great Tang. Of the 5 treasures of the Heavenly Dragon Monastery, the 3 pagodas were considered to be the chief. Many of the ancestors of the Duan family who became emperor eventually discarded their thrones and became monks here at the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. Thus, the Heavenly Dragon Monastery became the family temple for the imperial family of Dali. It was the most respected and venerated monastery in all of Dali. After each former emperor came here, upon their birthdays, their sons and grandsons would come to it to pay their respects. And each time they paid their respects, they would build a new building as a gift. The temple possessed 3 pavilions, 7-storied buildings, 9 halls, and 100 mansions, all of them huge in size and majestic in beauty. Even the most famous Buddhist mountain temples of the Central Plains, such as Wutai, Putuo, Jiuhua, or Eimei, could not match its splendid opulence. Only it was situated too far to the south, and thus its fame was not as great. During the journey, Duan Yu listened to his uncle's instructions and suppressed the incessantly clashing and raging energy streams within him. As the pain subsided slightly, he arrived with his uncle in front of the monastery. Emperor Baoding was very familiar with the Heavenly Dragon Monastery, having often come here and immediately searched for the abbot, Master Ben Yin. In terms of familial relationship, Abbot Ben Yin would be considered Emperor Baoding's uncle. However, as a monk, he did not need to pay Emperor Baoding the respects due to a king, nor did Emperor Baoding need to treat him as he might ordinarily treat a family elder. The two met with each other on equal terms. Emperor Baoding explained how Duan Yu was kidnapped by Crown Prince Yanqing, how he had been poisoned with a vile venom, and how he had been afflicted with an evil skill that caused him to dissolve the internal energy of others. Abbot Ben Yin mumbled to himself for a short period of time, then said, "Please accompany me to Muni Pavilion and meet with my 3 apprentice brothers." Emperor Baoding said, "I have disturbed the tranquil meditations of so many master monks. My sin is grievous indeed." Abbot Ben Yin replied, "The son of the south-subduing prince shall one day be the heir to the throne of Dali, which will be a true blessing to the people of the country. Your experience and internal energy can only be above that of my own. For you to come and ask me for help can only mean that this is a difficult problem indeed. I cannot help you by myself, and must consult with my apprentice brothers." Will the poison make his insides melt? Will it? I don't know, but it'll probably cause him a lot of issues. Maybe. Two young apprentice monks led the way, with Abbot Ben Yin directly behind him and Emperor Baoding with his nephew in the rearmost position. They took a left at the auspicious Crane Gate, passed by the billowing Heaven Gate, the Jade Pavilion of the Pure Capital, the Boundless Hall. Wow, there's a lot of buildings here. Finally, they arrived at a long corridor. The two apprentice monks respectfully stood outside the doorway, halting their steps. Following the corridor, the three headed westwards, arriving at a number of rooms. Although Duan Yu had often come to the Heavenly Dragon Monastery, he had never come here before. Those rooms were all built out of pine wood. The wooden pillars were simple and unadorned and in perfect shape. They looked totally different from the splendid and majestic buildings which the three had passed on their way here. Abbot Ben Yin clapped his hands together a few times, then said, Ami Taba. Or, wait, in Chinese it would be, Ami Tuo. Ben Yin has come across a difficult problem which I cannot solve. Forgive me for interrupting your studies, my apprentice brothers. From within a room, someone spoke. Please, enter, Abbot. Oh god, I need to do 3 voices. How do you do 3 old monks' voices and differentiate them? Slowly, Ben Yin stretched out his hand and pushed the door open. The door creaked and squeaked as it opened. Clearly, it was opened or closed only very rarely. Duan Yu followed Abbot Ben Yin as the latter walked inside. Earlier, he had heard Ben Yin say he would consult with 3 apprentice brothers, but there were 4 monks inside, seated on cattail hassocks. Of the 3 monks that could be seen, 2 of them had withered appearances, with the 3rd one possessed of a large frame. The 4th monk was situated towards the east and was facing the wall, still and unmoving. Emperor Baoding recognized the 2 withered, skinny monks. One was named Bun Guan. The other was named Bun Xiang. They were Abbot Bun Yin's elder apprentice brothers. The large, stalwart monk was named Bun Tang. He was Bun Yin's younger apprentice brother. He only knew that Muni Pavilion housed 3 elder monks with the names Guan, Xiang, and Tan, but did not recognize the 4th monk. He immediately bowed low and paid his respects. A slight smile on their lips, Bun Guan and the other 2 returned his salute. Perhaps the monk facing the wall was rooted to the floor, or his studies had reached a critical juncture and rendered him unable to turn his attention away. Regardless, he did not pay the slightest attention to Emperor Baoding. Emperor Baoding knew that the 2 characters, Mu and Ni, referred to stillness and quiet. In the Muni Pavilion, the fewer words that he spoke, the better. Thus he was succinct and terse in describing the evil poison flowing in Duan Yu's body. He finished by saying, I earnestly hope that you 4 can benevolently give me some pointers. Do a hassock's definition. A hassock is a little pillow that a monk sits on to do their praying. Hassock. A cushion for kneeling. Yeah. Yeah, they're usually like round pillows. Oh, we can look up a picture. Buddhist hassock. Yeah, like this. There you go. Terse. Terse means short. Where is it? Succinct also means short, I believe. But terse means short. You're not speaking a lot. Yeah, sparing in the use of words. Bun Guan mumbled to himself for some time while measuring up Duan Yu. He said, "Apprentice brothers, what do you think?" Bun Tan replied, oh, I can't remember all of these. Even though it would cost some energy, it might not render us incapable of mastering the divine sword of the 6 meridians. Upon hearing 4 words, 6 meridians divine sword, Emperor Baoding felt a shock in his heart. He thought to himself, in my youth, my father once told me that the Duan family's ancestral homeland had an infinitely powerful skill known as the Divine Sword of the 6 Meridians. But according to my father, this was just a legend, and no one in our family history was recorded as actually having mastered this technique. Moreover, no one actually knows if this technique is really as powerful as the legends say. From the words of Master Bun Guan, it seems as though such a wondrous skill actually exists. You don't understand how their legs weren't constantly numb from all that kneeling? Me too. Oh my god. Like during New Year's, I would usually go to a Buddhist temple. I'm not Buddhist, but that's just a tradition that we do. I would go to a Buddhist temple and we would kneel. Okay, we would kneel on the floor or on a hassock, basically. Um, yeah, and then the monks would do prayers, right? And we would like chant the prayers with the monks, and it would be like an hour, okay? And yeah, you would have to kneel for an hour. I mean, like you don't have to, but yeah, people kneel for an hour, and it's like it's hell on your legs. Seriously, I think they're just used to it. But yeah, if you're not used to it, then it's really bad for your legs. Does my voice change when I eat something sour or salty? Maybe. I don't know. I think I just need to work on doing different voices. I don't know. His thoughts turned in another direction. Judging from his Judging from his words, they intend to drive away the poison from Duan Yu's body by using their own internal energy. But doing so would tire them out and obstruct their attempts at mastering the divine sword of the 6 meridians. But Yu has been poisoned with an evil toxin, and an evil skill has been implanted in his body. Both are deadly and strange to the extreme. If the 5 of us do not combine our strengths, how can he be cured? Although he felt extremely apologetic, in the end, he did not decline the suggestion. Wen Xiang did not say a single word. Oh, thank God. He rose to his feet, lowered his head, furrowed his eyebrows, then took a slanted position at the northeast side of the room. Bun Guan and Bun Tan each returned to their respective positions as well. Abbot Bun Yin said, Shenzai, Shenzai. So Shenzai is a Buddhist exclamation. Okay. He took a position towards the west-southwest. Emperor Baoding said, these 4 elders of yours have decided to use their own energy to drive out the poison in your veins, not caring about the loss of their own strength. Quickly, kowtow and thank them. From the expression on his uncle's face, as well as that of the 4 monks, Duan Yu knew that this was no small matter indeed. He immediately fell to his knees and kowtowed to each of the monks in turn. Each of them smiled faintly and nodded in response. Emperor Baoding said, rest on your knees. Don't think about anything at all. And definitely don't exert so much as an ounce of your internal energy. If you feel some strange sensations, don't be alarmed. This is normal. Duan Yu acknowledged the instructions, then sat down as instructed. Bun Guan held up his right thumb and, exercising a precise amount of force, pressed it against the Feng Fu acupoint behind Duan Yu's skull. The force of his his Yi-Yang finger gradually emerged. Okay, he's a Looks like he's from the Duan family too, right? Because they know the Yi Yang finger technique of the Duan family. The Feng Fu acupoint was roughly an inch beneath the hairline and belonged to the Du meridians. Next, Ben Xiang struck the Qi Gong acupoint of Duan Yu's run meridians. Ben Can struck the blah 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 blah. So each one of them picks an acupoint. A human body has 7 channels and 8 meridians. Of the 8 meridians, the five of them ignored the Yang Wei and the Yang Jiao meridians. All 5 of them exercised the Yi Yang finger, attempting to purify his body of any toxins or evil energies with their pure Yang energy, driving them out through the acupoints of his Yang Wei and Yang Jiao meridians. These 5 masters of the Yi Yang finger had each achieved a very close level of attainment with it. Let me do that again. These 5 masters of the Yi Yang finger had each achieved a very close level of attainment within it. With a chi sound, 5 streams of pure Yang energy entered Duan Yu's body at the same time. Duan Yu's body suddenly trembled and was filled with an incredibly warm sensation that was indescribably comfortable, as though he were soaking in the sunlight during winter. The 5 people's fingers moved in unison. They felt as though after their energies entered Duan Yu's body, they would gradually vanish, never to reappear. Oh, so he's sucking their energies too. Duan Yu had not fully mastered all of the aspects of the divine art of Northern Darkness, but with the 5 masters pouring the pure Yang energy of their Yi Yang finger into his body, he was helpless to resist, and the energy began to collect in his sea of energy at his Shangzhong acupoint. The 5 elite experts of the Duan family gazed at each other, startled and bewildered. Startlement and bewilderment covering each and every one of their faces. Suddenly, a powerful cry was heard. Wuxia! What the hell is that? Everyone's ears shook with the sound and a buzzing noise filling them. Emperor Baoding knew that this was an extremely high-level Buddhist technique known as the lion's roar. Oh. Within the roar was hidden... Oh, should I do it? What is that sound anyways? Woo-ha! Within the roar was hidden an extremely deep internal force, easily capable of terrifying opponents or astonishing friends. The monk who was facing the wall spoke. A powerful opponent is arriving in but a few days, and the centuries-old fame of the Heavenly Dragon Monastery is dangling above a precipice. As for this mewling babe, regardless of whether he has been poisoned or afflicted with some evil skill, is it really worth it to waste internal energy over him at this critical juncture? These sentences were filled with an awe-inspiring dignity and majesty. Abbot Bunyin said, "Martial uncle, your instructions are wise." With a wave of his left hand, the 5 people retreated at the same time. Oh no! Upon hearing Abbot Bunyin address that man as martial uncle, Emperor Baoding hurriedly said, I was unaware that Elder Kurong was present. I am guilty of being remiss in paying my proper respects. As it were, Elder Kurong was of the highest-ranking generation in the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. He had secluded himself into isolated meditation for decades now, and none of the monks of the Heavenly Dragon Monastery had ever seen his actual face. So he just sits there for decades? Wow. Emperor Baoding, as well, had only heard of him, but had never met him before. In the past, he had heard that Elder Kurong was in secluded meditation at the Two Trees courtyard, but no one had mentioned him in over 10 years. He had assumed that Elder Kurong had achieved nirvana. Elder Kurong continued, One must consider a matter's relative importance and urgency. The date of our appointment with the enlightened Lord of the Great Wheel from the Great Snowy Mountain is almost upon us. Zheng Ming, why don't you join us in discussing the matter? Emperor Baoding replied, Yes. In his heart, he thought to himself, The great snowy mountain's enlightened lord of the great wheel possesses a deep and erudite understanding of the Dharma. I wonder what connection he has with us. From within his bosom, Abbot Bunyin withdrew a resplendent golden letter, passing it over to Emperor Baoding. Emperor Baoding accepted the letter. It weighed heavily in his hand. This letter was exceptionally bizarre. Its envelope was actually an extremely thin layer, gold, beaten. Its envelope was actually an extremely thin layer of gold beaten into the shape of an envelope, with the words written in Sanskrit using platinum. Emperor Baoding could read it. The words were, Respectfully presented to the Sublime Sage Monastery. He withdrew the actual letter from the envelope. It too was made out of an exceptionally thin layer of beaten gold. Once again, the words were written in Sanskrit. The general meaning was, Many years ago, I had a chance meeting with the Honorable Mu Rongbo. In the course of our meeting, he conversed at length about the various martial arts in the world. Mr. Mu Rong held your temple's divine sword of the 6 meridians in the highest esteem, and deeply regretted not having the opportunity to visit you to see it himself. I recently have heard that Mr. Mu Rong passed away. My sorrow is boundless. I respectfully request that your revered monastery transmit to me the manuscript of the divine sword of the 6 meridians, so that I might burn it in sacrifice before Mr. Mu Rong's tomb. I will arrive in a number of days. I hope that my wish will be granted. You had to kneel on grains of rice? Oh my god. Even my parents didn't do that. I feel bad for you now. That hurt. That hurts a lot. The letter was signed Jiu Mo Ji, disciple of the Great Wheel Temple of the Great Snowy Mountain, pays his deepest respects. The words on the letter were also written using platinum. The carefulness and workmanship displayed was nothing short of exquisite. Clearly, it had been crafted by a master artisan who had expended boundless efforts in making it. The letter and envelope alone could be considered an overwhelmingly priceless treasure, displaying the obvious wealth and opulence of the enlightened lord of the Great Wheel. Who is this enlightened lord of the Great Wheel? Emperor Baoding had heard before that Jiu Mo Ji, the enlightened lord of the Great Wheel, was the national protector and Dharma king of the nation of Tibet. He had heard that the man possessed a staggering intellect and a clear understanding of Buddhism. Every 5 years, he would hold lectures where he would expound at length on various scriptures. Many high monks and men of great virtue of the western regions would converge at the Great Wheel Monastery of the Great Snowy Mountain to ask for clarifications regarding difficult to understand parts of various scriptures. After the discussions were complete and the people began to part, there would not be a single person who was not joyful and full of praise. Emperor Baoding himself had once desired to travel there to listen to the readings of the scriptures. This letter described him as having discussed martial arts with Gusu's Mu Rongbo, and even becoming intimate friends with him. Clearly, then, the man was also an extremely skilled martial artist. For such a man of great intelligence and wisdom, it would be perfectly normal for him not to practice martial arts. If he really were to be a martial artist as well, then he must be a formidable character indeed. None of it was wasted. Wait, so your parents made you kneel on rice, and then afterwards they scooped up the rice and they made rice with it? Did you have to eat it? Did it have your blood on it? Oh my god. Abbot Bunyan said, "The divine sword of the sixth meridian is a precious treasure of our monastery, passed down from generation to generation. It represents the highest level of martial arts learning which the Duan family of Dali possesses. Zhengming, Dali's Duan family's most advanced martial arts technique resides here in the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. You are not a monk, but a secular man. Therefore, even though you are our nephew and possess a deep understanding of many abstruse martial arts concepts, we could not divulge it to you." Emperor Baoding said, "Yes, I understand this rule." Bun Guan said, "Not even Zheng Ming and Zheng Chun knew that our monastery possessed the manuscript for learning the divine sword of the six meridians. I wonder how it is that Gusu's Murong family learned of it." Duan Yu, listening, suddenly thought of the blessed reading ground within the cave near Mount Wuliang and its empty shelves. I remember when he was in the cave, when Duan Yu was in that cave that he was trapped in. There was a shelf of full of martial arts of different groups and different sects, right? One of the shelves had been marked the Duan family of Dali, with 2 additional markings on it: Yi Yang Finger, missing, and Divine Sword of the Six Meridians, missing. He thought to himself, "My dear goddess scoured the land for the martial arts manuscripts of every family and school in the world, but was never able to acquire my family's Yi Yang Finger and Divine Sword of the Six Meridians." He felt delight in his heart, but also some melancholy, as he imagined how much the dear goddess must have regretted their absence. What's up, Joshua? Thanks for the super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Readings every week, rain or shine. Yep. I will read it to you, rain or shine. I think it's raining outside. Wait, no, this is California. Never mind. It's probably not. He heard Bun Guan angrily say, "The enlightened lord of the Great Wheel can be considered a world-famous monk of high standing. He must have lost his wits. How can he demand this manuscript from our monastery? Zheng Ming, as our brother abbot knows, if he comes not with good intentions, but with ill will. This matter is of the utmost importance, and we ourselves dare not handle it by ourselves. Thus, we invited martial uncle Ku Rong to lead us in handling the situation." Bun Yin said, "Although our monastery does indeed have this manuscript, I am ashamed to admit that none of us are capable of learning the divine skill written upon it. We can't even be said to have a rudimentary knowledge of it. Martial uncle Ku Rong has been practicing that which is known as withered meditation. This is a totally different type of divine skill which our monastery possesses. He too is lacking in understanding in the divine sword of the six meridians, but although we are incapable of learning this skill, no one in the world knows about it. Can it be that the enlightened lord of the great wheel is totally confident in himself and is not afraid of the divine sword of the six meridians at all?" Ku Rong icily said, "I doubt that he dares to look up down upon Ku Rong icily said, "I doubt that he dares to look down upon the divine sword of the six meridians. The respect which he holds for Mu Rong Bo, and the respect which Mu Rong Bo held for the divine sword of the six meridians. I am sure the enlightened lord of the great wheel himself knows which one he holds in greater import, but most likely he has guessed that as our monastery has not produced any exceptionally astonishing martial artists, though the manuscript may be priceless, no one can master its skills, and thus he is not worried." Bun Guan loudly shouted, "If he himself admires the skill and asks for a chance to borrow it and read it, on account of us respecting him as an eminent Buddhist monk, At most, we would gently and tactfully refuse. There's no big deal. What really pisses me off is that he's going to burn it in front of some dead guy. He's really thinking too little of the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. Ben Xiang let out a sigh. How did this guy's voice go again? Marshal, brother, there is no need for you to work yourself into such a rage. I do not think that the enlightened lord of the Great Wheel is such an ignorant and presumptuous man. It seems he wishes to imitate the story of Wu Qizha hanging a sword on the tomb. It appears he held Mr. Mu Rong in the utmost of esteem. Alas, an excellent friend passes away and can never be seen again. And he slowly began to shake his head. Emperor Baoding said, Master Ben Xiang, what was the character of Mr. Mu Rongbo? Ben Xiang said, I do not know, but for such an extraordinary character as the enlightened lord of the Great Wheel, to hold him in such esteem, he must have been an incredible person indeed. And as he spoke, he seemed to be carried away and carefree. Okay, we get a summary of the story of Wu Jizha. Wu Jizha was a man of the Zhou dynasty who had a good friend named Su Chun. Jizha had a precious sword created for him that he needed for a special mission. His friend Su Chun saw the sword and wanted it very much for himself, but said nothing, as it would be inappropriate. Wu Jizha saw that his friend wanted it and intended to gift him the sword, but could not do so immediately, as he needed it for the mission. He vowed to himself that he would give Su Chun the sword when he returned, but by the time he completed the mission, Su Chun was dead. Besides himself with grief, Wu Jizha went to Su Chun's tomb and hung his sword over a tree overlooking the tomb. When people asked him what was the point of him doing so, he replied, Although Su Chun has departed, the promise I made him in my heart still binds me. I promised myself that when I returned, I would make a gift of the sword to him. How could I allow such a paltry thing as death stand in the way of me keeping my oath? Okay. So it looks like this enlightened lord of the Great Wheel asked these monks to give him their like very special divine martial arts manual, right? And it seems like he wanted to that enlightened lord, he wants to reenact, do kind of a similar thing as this Wu Jizha guy of the old legends. He wants to burn that's priceless martial arts manual in front of his friend's tomb. Abbot Bunyin continued, Martial Uncle Kurong believes that, based upon his judgment of our enemy's abilities, unless we are able to quickly master the divine sword of the 6 meridians, the precious manuscript will be forcibly taken from us, and the Heavenly Dragon Monastery will suffer a crushing blow. Unfortunately, the divine technique written on the scroll is heavily dependent upon one's internal energy reserve, and so there's no way to simply hasten one's learning of it. Oh, really? I think I know what's going to happen. Zhengming, it's not that we don't care about Duan Yu or his condition, only we fear that if we exhaust too much internal energy and our powerful enemy suddenly arrives, we won't be able to fend him off. It seems that although Duan Yu's problem is very severe, he won't be at risk of losing his life for many days yet. Let's have him quietly rest here for the next few days. If his condition suddenly takes a dangerous turn for the worse, we will immediately come up with a solution to cure him. After we have driven off our enemy, we will exert all of our energies into curing him and driving out the poison in his body. What do you think? Although Emperor Baoding was worried about Duan Yu, he also was capable of understanding the big picture. He knew that the Heavenly Dragon Monastery was a fundamental. He knew that the Heavenly Dragon Monastery was a fundamental root and supporting structure of Dali's Duan family. Whenever the imperial family was in trouble, the Heavenly Dragon Monastery would lend its support, and each time they would pull through. In the past, when the treacherous official Yang Yizhen murdered Emperor Shangde and stole the throne, it was the Heavenly Dragon Monastery who, along with loyal official Gao Jisheng, put down the rebellion and restored peace. Dali was established in the second year of heavenly fortune of the later Jin dynasty of the Five Dynasties period. It had existed for 158 years now. It had undergone many trials and tribulations. One of the many reasons why the state had been able to survive them all was the calming and steadying influence of the Heavenly Dragon Monastery. Today, the Heavenly Dragon Monastery was in trouble. This was identical to the state itself being in danger. He immediately said, "Abbot, your benevolence is greatly appreciated, and my gratitude towards you is boundless. But if I might ask, how do you intend to defend against the enlightened Lord of the Great Wheel? And how can I, Zheng Ming, offer my humble assistance?" All right. Break time, 5 minutes, okay? Give me a 5-minute break. I'll be right back. And we're back. You heard 我爱你? Yeah. The song is called 我爱你胜过你爱我. It means, I love you more than you love me. Alright, so the monks refuse to treat Duan Yu, right? Because this one dude, this enlightened lord of the Great Wheel, is coming in a couple of days, and they need to prepare for him, right? He's coming to take their divine martial arts manual. Bun Yin mumbled to himself, "You are a master amongst the secular members of the Duan family. If you can work together with us to defeat this powerful opponent, it will add to our prestige. But for you, a secular person, to get involved in a dispute between Buddhist disciples, no doubt the enlightened Lord of the Great Wheel will laugh at us, mocking the Heavenly Dragon Monastery for not being able to take care of ourselves." Kurang suddenly said, "If each of us were to try to individually learn the divine sword of the 6 meridians, it would be impossible. Simply put, our internal energy is not strong enough. I had once thought of a workaround where 6 of us each master a single one of the 6 meridians, and all 6 of us strike in unison. Although there is no glory in us fighting him 6 against 1, in the end we aren't challenging him to a duel, but trying to protect our monastery and our scriptures. Even if 100 of us were to fight him at the same time, it would be acceptable. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't think of a 6th person in the Heavenly Dragon Monastery who was skilled enough to join us. I have worried about this conundrum for a long time. Zheng Ming, why don't you take the 6th position? Only you'll have to shave your head and switch into monastery robes." He spoke more and more quickly, as though he were getting very excited. However, his tone of voice was as icy and cold as ever. Emperor Baoding said, "I have always desired to fully devote myself to the Buddha and his teachings. Only with regards to the secret manuscript, well, I've never seen it before. For me to try and learn it so hastily, I'm afraid that..." Ben Tan said, "You long ago learn the fundamentals to this skill. You only need to learn the sword techniques." Emperor Baoding did not understand. He said, "Abbot, please explain." Abbot Bunyin said, Be seated. Emperor Baoding knelt down on one of the cattail hassocks. Bunyan said, "The divine sword of the six meridians is not an actual physical sword. It is the transformation of the energy of the yi-yang finger into sword qi. It has substance, but is invisible. It can be described as the invisible sword qi." Oh, it's like a lightsaber, but invisible. Hell yeah. The six meridians refer to the six meridians near the hand from which the energy is executed. The Tai Yin Fei channels, the Jui Yun Xinbao channels, and the Xiao Yin Xin channels. The Tai Ya blah 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 blah. Oh my god. And as he spoke, he withdrew a rolled up scroll from behind Bun Guan's hassock. Bun Tan took the scroll over, unfurling it and hanging it up on the wall. The passage of many years had turned the paper a sickly yellowish brown color. A picture of a naked male was on the paper, with all of his acupoints clearly marked out. Red and black lines were used to indicate how the internal energy was supposed to flow amongst the six meridians. Emperor Baoding was a superb expert of the yi-yang finger. At a single glance, he could tell that the divine sword of the six meridians was indeed based upon the yi-yang finger as its foundation. What ramen do you recommend? Well, I usually eat this 1 cup noodle from Costco. I forget what it's called. You want to see? You want to see? All right, let me show you. Yeah, this is what I eat. I don't know. It's just really fast, okay? It's instant. I don't usually eat this, but when I do, it's this. Okay. When I want ramen, I go out to the restaurant to get some. But at home I just eat the cup ramen. This one is actually pretty it's pretty good. And it's pretty spicy. Is that like the edge of my spiciness tolerance? How much sodium? All right. Well, I probably don't want to know. Oh, this sounds like a lot. 1,310 milligrams of sodium. That's 57% of your daily value. Wow. I didn't want to see that. Jeez. That's your brother's favorite? Awesome. Duan Yu was lying on the floor, resting. Upon seeing the naked male picture on the scroll, his thoughts instantly turned to the scroll which he accidentally tore up. He thought to himself, "The acupoints of men and women are identical. Dear goddess was so strange. Why did she draw a scroll of a naked woman instead of a man, much less much less give that naked woman her own features?" He faintly felt that it was inappropriate, as though his dear goddess had intended to use her beauty and features to lure men into staring at the scroll and seduce them into learning its martial arts. In his delirium, he had accidentally torn up the scroll. Perhaps this was actually to his benefit and had aided him in avoiding some sort of catastrophe. But thinking in such a way would profane the dear goddess's purity, and so the thought only flashed by his mind, and he dared not ponder it longer. That is pure salt. That is as much salt as you eat in a month. Really? Oh my god. Then I'm very unhealthy. Is that a lot? It says 57% of your daily value. So you can eat about 2 of these, right? A day to get all of your sodium to get all of your sodium that you need in a day. I don't know. Is that what that means? That's what that means, right? Percent daily value means like the percentage of how much you should get in a day. Yeah. So it's only 57% of your daily value. Bun Yin said, Zhengming, you are the absolute ruler of the country of Dali. For you to change into a monk's attire, it's a critical stopgap measure. But if our enemy realizes who you actually are, a huge blow will be dealt to the prestige of Dali. I leave it to you to decide whether or not the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Emperor Baoding folded his hands together. Guard the Dharma, protect the monastery. Honor and duty, leave no other options. Oh my god. He's gonna be a monk? He's gonna leave the throne? Ben Yin replied, Excellent. However, the divine sword of the 6 meridians may not be passed down to secular disciples. You must enter the monastery gates and become an actual monk. After our opponent has been driven off, I will permit you to return to the secular world and unfrock you. Emperor Baoding rose to his feet, then knelt down on both knees. Great master, please be benevolent and accept me as a disciple. Wait, that's if you eat 2,000 calories a day? But are you not supposed to eat 2,000 calories a day? Why would they say percent daily value if they don't mean like how much you should eat in a day? Elder Kurong said, Come over here. I will shave you. Wow, they're doing it right away. He's going to become a monk right away. Emperor Baoding moved forwards until he was kneeling before Elder Kurong. Seeing his uncle prepare to be shaven and join the ranks of the monks, Duan Yu was secretly shocked. He watched as Elder Kurong stretched his hand out and pressed his palm against the top of Emperor Baoding's head. There was not so much as a single shred of muscle on his hand. The only thing which lay underneath his skin was bone. Elder Kurong still did not turn around as he recited, Within this dust speck of a world, there are 3 concealed truths. All accomplishments are predetermined by karma. These accomplishments are meaningless and do not even add to the dust, and yet it is difficult to stop thinking of the present. He lifted his hand up. All of Emperor Baoding's black hair fell off, leaving his head totally bald, without so much as a single strand of hair on top. Even if a razor had been used, such a clean shave would not have been possible. Wow. He can instantly shave your head. That's his power. Duan Yu was totally shocked, and Emperor Baoding, Bun Guan, Bun Yin, and the others were also extremely impressed. Emperor Kurong has long practiced the art of withered meditation. He has reached such an incredibly high level of strength. Unfrock? Unfrock means to make you not be a monk anymore. It means to take off your frock, right? So to return you to the secular world. Another term for defrock. To deprive someone of professional status or membership of a prestigious group. There you go. Is unfrock a word? Apparently it is a word. Elder Kurong said, Upon entering Buddha's doorway, you shall now be known as Bun Chun. Emperor Baoding joined his palms together. Master, thank you for granting me a name. Buddhists do not adhere to secular rules regarding generational gaps. Originally, Abbot Benyin was Emperor Baoding's uncle, but now that Emperor Baoding had been shaved by Elder Kurong himself and brought into the monastery, he became Benyin's younger apprentice brother, on the same generational level. Emperor Baoding immediately changed into monastic shoes and clothes, his appearance completely changing into that of a learned and eminent monk. Elder Kurang said, That enlightened lord of the Great Wheel might arrive this very night. Bunyin, transmit the secrets of the divine sword of the 6 meridians to Bun Chun. Bunyin replied, Yes. Pointing to the manuscript, he said, Brother Bun Chun, you shall focus on the Shou Xiao Yang Shanxiao meridians. After your qi is collected at the Dan Tian, circulated upwards through your shoulders and arms. Once it reaches the Qinlong Yuan point, curve the qi to pass through the Tianqing point, then the Xidu point, the Sanyang point, and the Huizhong. Condense the internal energy and fire it out from the Guanchong acupoint of your ring finger. Emperor Baoding followed the instructions and circulated his internal energy as ordered. With a chi-chi sound, his internal energy burst out from the Guanchong acupoint of his ring finger. Elder Kurong happily said, Your cultivation of internal energy is extraordinary indeed. Although the sword techniques themselves may have many heavy and complicated changes, your sword chi has already taken form. You can now execute it at will. Can he make his hair grow back at the end? I don't think he has that power. That's a power for another monk. Ben Yin said, Originally, the divine sword of the 6 meridians was supposed to be executed by a single person. But in this day and age, martial arts has declined, and there is now no one capable of gathering and cultivating such a powerful, vigorous internal energy. All we can do is divide up the divine sword of the 6 meridians amongst ourselves. My martial uncle has specialized in the Shaoshang sword of the thumb. I specialize in the Shangyang sword of the index finger. Brother Bun Guan specializes in the Zhongzhong sword of the middle finger. Brother Bun Chun specializes in the Guanchong sword of the ring finger. Brother Bun Xiang specializes in the Shaochang sword of the pinky finger. And Brother Bun Tan specializes in the Shaozhi sword of the left pinky. We must attend to the matter of combining these 6 swords at once. He once more retrieved the manuscripts of the divine sword of the 6 meridians, hanging them on the 4 walls of the room. The picture describing the Shaoshang sword he hung next to Elder Kurong. Every single picture was filled with crisscrossing lines, circles, and arcs. Each of the 6 focused on their respective manuscripts and began poking and pointing in the air as they sketched out the movements. Guan Yu slowly sat up. He felt as though the energy in his body was swaying and even more difficult to bear than before. As it happened, just a short time ago, Emperor Baoding and the other 4 monks had poured a substantial amount of energy into his body. Seeing how his uncle and the other elders were concentrating so hard on their practice, he didn't dare to make a sound and disturb them. Sitting down for a long while, he began to feel bored. By accident, his gaze came to rest upon the manuscript, which was resting above Elder Kurong. He's going to learn the martial arts. Remember, he already has a lot of internal energy. He already has a lot of qi. So I think he's going to learn this martial arts now. You two are proficient in using the middle finger? Me too. After staring at it for only a short while, he began to feel his right arm begin to tremble uncontrollably, as though something was trying to burst forth from his skin and escape. That small mouse-like creature that was trying to escape precisely from the Kongzui acupoint, as illustrated on the manuscript. He had successfully completed the practice of Shou Tai Yin Fei channels. The acupoints illustrated on that manuscript were identical with those on the illustration of the naked girl. However, the lines that were drawn were totally different. According to the pathways drawn by the red lines, the energy from the Zikong Zui point passed to the Da Yuan point, then immediately jumped to the Qizi point, then dropped down to the Yuju point. Unexpectedly, as he tried to channel the wildly rushing internal energy, as according to the manuscript, it actually obeyed. Although it took many twists and turns as it moved upwards his upper arm. It moved towards his upper arm. As the internal energy flowed through his meridians, he felt the nausea and pain of his body begin to lessen. Immediately, he dedicated his mind to channeling the energy into his Shangzhong acupoint. Okay, so he's just learning this secret martial arts. The monks are not even hiding it. Yeah, wait. Isn't this supposed to be like a secret martial arts? They should really kick this guy out, right? They should really kick Duan Yu out. They're not really treating it as a super secret martial arts. However, this gush of energy was different and could not be easily channeled towards his Shanzhong acupoint, as instructed by the naked female pictures. After a short period of time, he began to cry out, "Ow! Ow!" in pain. Hearing his cries, Emperor Baoding immediately turned his head. How are you feeling?" Duan Yu replied, "In my body, there are innumerable flows of qi that are running amok. It is extremely painful. I was thinking about Grandmaster Ku Rong's manuscript, and the energy began to flow towards my Shanzhong acupoint. Ow! But my Shanzhong acupoint has been totally filled to the brim and can't take in any more energy. My chest is about to explode." This feeling which he had, only he himself could tell, due to it being caused by the internal circulation of qi. Thus, even though he proclaimed that his chest was about to explode, to outsiders his chest seemed perfectly normal. Emperor Baoding was an expert martial artist and knew that for a person to experience the feeling of his Shanzhong acupoint being filled to the brim with energy would require at least 20 years of practice that resulted in an internal energy of unmatched power and vigor. As Duan Yu had never practiced martial arts, this sensation must have been caused by the evil toxins in his body. Emperor Baoding was inwardly fearful, knowing that unless the internal energy was dispersed, Duan Yu's entire body would become paralyzed. But if the toxins were dispersed with the qi and settled deep within his body, it would become almost impossible to eradicate in the future. Normally, when settling grave and important affairs, he would be both impartial and swift in passing judgment, uttering only a single sentence in verdict, but the matter in front of him would affect the entirety of Duan Yu's life. If only a slight mistake were made, his life would be immediately at risk. Seeing that Duan Yu's eyes had a dazed look, giving him the appearance of madness, he realized that he had no time to be irresolute. He decided to himself, "At this point in time, even if we have to have Duan Yu drink poison to quench his thirst, there are no other options." He said, I will teach you how to disperse your internal energy." Immediately, he began to demonstrate while speaking and taught him the method to do so. Not waiting for Emperor Baoding to finish speaking, Duan Yu immediately began to follow his instructions step by step. The martial arts techniques of Dali's Duan family were incomparably marvelous. He followed the instructions precisely, and the wildly rushing internal energy in his body began to disperse, settling down into his internal organs. According to traditional Chinese medicine, a person's organs were divided into the 5 internal organs and the 6 hollow organs. Oh, is that how it works? Internal organs referred to storage, and hollow organs referred to home. The original term had the secondary meaning of storing and accumulating energy. Duan Yu first drained all of the internal energy of 7 disciples of Mount Wuliang's sword sect, then absorbed some of the energy of masters such as Duan Yanqing, the yellow-browed monk, Yi Erniang, the divine crocodile, Yun Zhenghe, Zhang Wanqiu, and Cui Baichuan. This day, he gained a small portion of the internal energy of Emperor Baoding, Bun Guan, Bun Xiang, Bun Yin, and Bun Tan, 5 master martial artists of the Duan family. His internal energy was now incomparably deep and profound. The phrase shocking the ancients and overawing contemporaries could be used to describe it. He had no equal in the entire world. Whoa! Looks like he has more energy than everyone in the world, or anyone in the world. Now, under his uncle's instructions, he began to store away all this powerful internal energy within his organs, and his entire body began to feel more and more comfortable. His entire body felt light and carefree, as though he was about to fly away into the sky. Upon seeing the boundless joy and pleasure on Duan Yu's face, Emperor Baoding feared that he had deeply fire deviated, and that the toxin in his body would forevermore give him trouble. No matter how hard they tried to remove it, most likely it would exhaust and tire him for the rest of his life. He couldn't help but inwardly sigh. So Emperor Baoding thinks that he has just made Duan Yu keep all of those toxins in his body, but so he felt sad. But really, what he did was to help. What he did was help Duan Yu keep all of those actual internal energy, all that qi inside his organs. After hearing Emperor Baoding finish teaching Duan Yu how to disperse his internal energy, Elder Ku Rong said, "But Chen, as a man sows, so shall he reap. This is true for everyone in the world. Good fortune or trouble, calamity or blessing, all arise from the heart. There is no need for you to worry too much about others. Hurry up and start focusing on mastering the Shaoshang sword." Man, this monk is really a hard ass, isn't he? Emperor Baoding said, "Yes." Putting away his feelings, he once more began to intensively study the Shaoshang sword techniques. The internal energy in Duan Yu's body was extremely abundant. There was far too much of it to be totally stored within a short period of time. But the more okay, so I guess when you suck someone's energy, it doesn't get stored right away. It gets stored in the Shanzhong acupoint, right? And then afterward, you have to disperse it into your internal organs. He should power the world's electricity. Truth. The internal energy in Duan Yu's body was extremely abundant. There was far too much of it for it to be totally stored within a short period of time. But the more he practiced the dispersion technique, the more familiar he became with it. And the more familiar he became with it, the more quickly the dispersal proceeded. The 7 of them each concentrated on their own designated martial arts, and none of them noticed as light gradually appeared from the east. By the time he heard the roosters announce the arrival of dawn, Duan Yu felt as though his limbs and his bones no longer contained the slightest bit of internal energy. He rose to his feet and stretched a bit. He saw that his uncle and the 5 elder monks were still totally, unmovingly dedicated to practicing the sword techniques. He didn't dare to open the door to go out and take a walk, much less make a noise and disturb them. In his boredom, he casually started to check out the manuscript in which his uncle was focusing on, as well as the Shaoshang sword manuscript again. Although he had heard that the divine sword of the 6 meridians could not be transmitted to secular disciples, he felt that he could not possibly understand such a high-level martial arts and so there should be no problem with him just glancing at it. As he was focusing on the manuscript, suddenly he felt a burst of internal energy pour forth from his dantian on its own accord, gushing towards his arms and pouring forth from the ring fingers his guanchong acupoint. But he didn't know how to actually release the energy from his finger, and consequently felt as though the tip of his ring finger was becoming more and more swollen. He thought to himself, I better let this burst of energy dissipate. Just as he thought this, that gush of energy really did return to his dantian. Duan Yu didn't know that he had accidentally learned a secret high-level technique. All he felt was that the internal energy in his arm flowed up and down as according to his heart's desire. He felt that it was very funny. Out of the 3 monks of the Mooney Pavilion, he felt that Master Bun Xian was the nicest and most amiable. Turning his head, he stared at Bun Xiang's Shou Shao Yin Xin channel's manuscript. The energy from this manuscript was generated from the Ji Chuan acupoint of the armpit, then flowed 3 inches upwards into the Qingling acupoint, where it condensed as it passed through the Shaohai acupoint, the Jingling acupoint, Tongli acupoint, Shunmen acupoint, and the Shaofuzhu acupoint, before exiting via the pinky fingers' Shaochong acupoint. As he pondered the manuscript, a gush of energy really did pass through the channels as instructed by the drawing. Only the speed of that gush of energy could not be controlled. Sometimes it was extremely quick, but at other moments it came to a complete halt. He guessed that it was probably due to him not being very good, and did not overthink it. He's getting so OP? Totally. This guy is unknowingly learning like super powerful, super secret martial arts. In the course of half a day, Duan Yu had already circulated his internal energy through every single passageway as drawn by the paintings. He felt as energetic and vigorous. Without anything to do, he once more began to study the Shaoshang, Shangyang, Zhongchong, Guanchong, Shaochong, and Shaozhi sword pictures. He saw that the red lines and black lines intercrossed in numerous and complicated ways. He thought to himself, how could anyone memorize such annoyingly complex sword techniques? Besides, Martial Granduncle has already stated that non-monks are not allowed to learn it. He immediately stopped looking at them. He felt a bit hungry and thought to himself, why haven't the apprentice monks brought any vegetarian dishes and rice yet? I might as well secretly creep outside and look for some food. But at that very moment, he suddenly detected a gentle, fragrant scent of white sandalwood, and heard from the sound of a Buddhist chant waft in from afar. Elder Ku Rong said, Sanzai, Sanzai, the enlightened lord of the great wheel has graced us with his presence. How well have you learned your respective skills? Oh, here comes the enlightened lord. Bun Sun replied, although I still have not mastered it, I believe I know enough to fight our enemy. Ku Rong said, excellent. Bun Yin, I don't want to walk. Invite the enlightened lord of the great wheel to come to the Mooney Pavilion to hold discourse with us. Abbot Bun Yin said, yes. He left. Bun Guan retrieved 5 cassocks, arranging them in a row on the east side. On the west side, he put a single cassock. He sat down on the first cassock. Bun Xian sat down on the second, Bun San the fourth, and Emperor Bao Ding the fifth, leaving the central one for Abbot Bun Yin. Wait, what does Duan Yu sit? Duan Yu had no place to sit, and so stood behind Emperor Bao Ding. Ku Rong, Bun Guan, and the others reviewed the techniques on the manuscripts one last time before finally gathering them up and placing them in front of Elder Ku Rong. Emperor Bao Ding said, very shortly, a fierce battle will erupt here. Sword chi will be freely flying across the room, and things will become very dangerous. Your uncle won't be able to divert any attention to protecting you. Why don't you go outside and take a walk? Get the hell out of here. A burst of misery suddenly filled Duan Yu's heart. From everyone's tone of voice, it seems as though this enlightened lord martial arts is at an extremely high level. My uncle only just learned the Shao Chong sword. I don't know if he'll be able to win or not. If some sort of mistake or error occurs, what sort of unthinkable thing might happen? He replied, Uncle, I want to stay with you. My heart is still at ease, imagining you sword fighting. Wait. My heart is ill at ease, imagining you sword fighting with others. By the time he finished the last few words, his voice was already choked with sobs. Emperor Baoding's heart was moved as well. This child really has a filial heart. Elder Kurong said, come sit by my side. No matter how powerful the enlightened lord is, I guarantee that he won't be able to harm a single hair on your head. Although his tone of voice was calm and icy as ever, his words conveyed an extremely proud and lofty confidence. Definition of cassock? It's like hassock, I believe. No? Yeah. Wait a minute. No. The translation is wrong, guys. They mean hassock. Because a cassock is a thing worn by Christians. What? Right? It says retrieve 5 cassocks, arranging, and they sat down on it. It's a hassock. The hassock. I don't think that counts. I say that does not count. Definition of filial. Filial means like you have a sense of duty to your responsibility to your parents. Your parents or to your elders or to whatever, right? A sense of duty. Filio. Yeah. Dutiful, devoted, loyal. You would be okay with me reading an obituary? I don't know, there's some really entertaining obituaries out there. Duan Yu replied, yes. He walked in front of Elder Kurong, but did not dare stare at his face. He too knelt and stared at the wall. Elder Kurong's body frame was much larger than that of Duan Yu, totally covering Duan Yu's smaller body. Wow. He's a monk, but he's like a big monk. Emperor Baoding was both moved and relieved. Previously, Elder Kurong had demonstrated the art of withered meditation in shaving his head, displaying a power that more than allowed for him to show disdain for the heroes of this age. It would be more than enough to protect Duan Yu. In a very short amount of time, all sound disappeared from the Mooney Pavilion. After a long period of time, Abbot Bunyin's voice could be heard. Enlightened Lord, you grace us with your dharmic knowledge. The Mooney Pavilion is this way. Duan Yu heard another voice answered him. Oh, how should the Enlightened Lord sound? Extremely gentle and mild? Okay. Abbot, thank you for going to the trouble of guiding me. The second voice was extremely gentle and mild, refined and courteous. It definitely did not belong to a vicious, violent tyrant who took what he wanted. From the sounds of the footsteps, around 10 people were headed their way. He heard Bunyin push open the wooden door while saying, Enlightened Lord, please enter. The enlightened lord of the Great Wheel replied, Excuse me. He entered the room, then immediately folded his hands in a gesture of respect towards the elder Kurong. He said, I, Jiu Mo Ji, a junior from Tibet, pay my respects. to an eminent monk of an elder generation. Eternal or not eternal, wait. Oh, this is a poem. Eternal or not eternal, twin trees bloom and wither, north and south, east and west, not false, not empty. Guan Yu pondered to himself. What did those 4 lines mean? But Elder Kurong felt a shock in his heart. The enlightened lord of the great wheel is reputed to possess a vast and boundless learning. He lives up to his reputation. As soon as he saw me, he laid bare the history behind my practice of withered meditation. In a past age, the great forefather of Buddhism, Shakyamuni, passed away from the world between the twin sal trees of the city of Kusinara. Shakyamuni is the historical Buddha. He was surrounded in every direction by twin sal trees. Each twin tree had one side which was blooming, and another side which was withered. They became known as the 4 withered, 4 blooming. According to Buddhist scriptures, the twin trees to the east had the meaning of eternal and ephemeral. Those to the south had the meaning of joyful and joyless. The twin trees to the west signified myself and not myself, and the twin trees to the north signified peaceful and restless. The flourishing and blooming trees symbolized the truth and reality of nirvana, eternal, joyful, myself, peaceful. The withered trees symbolize the real world, ephemeral, joyless, not myself, and restless. The Tathagata Buddha passed away between these 8 states of existence. The hidden meaning of this was neither withered nor blooming, neither false nor empty. Elder Kurong had been quietly practicing the art of withered meditation for decades now, but had only managed to reach the level of being half withered, half blooming. He was unable to progress to the next level of being neither withered nor blooming, but also withered and also blooming. Upon hearing the words of the enlightened lord of the great wheel, he immediately became stern and said, Enlightened lord, you have come from afar, but I did not come out to greet you. Forgive my discourtesy. Jiumozi, the enlightened lord of the great wheel, replied, This junior monk has long heard of and admired the glorious fame of the heavenly dragon monastery. For me to be able to see its stately and grand structures is a source of great joy to me. Abbot Bunyin said, Enlightened lord, please be seated. Jiumozi thanked him and sat down. Guan Yu thought to himself, I wonder what this enlightened lord looks like. He quietly turned his head and snuck a look past Elder Kurong's side. He saw a monk wearing a white cassock, seated on a hassock. Wait. Hold on. So a cassock is a robe then, and a hassock is a pillow you sit on. But was it a typo before? Because before they were sitting on their hassock or the cassocks, which doesn't make sense, right? This is clearly a typo, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure. What do you mean C? It was a typo. Like, you don't sit on your cassocks, you sit on your hassock. Can a hassock wear a cassock? I mean, I guess. You mean they had a hassock and they wrapped their cassock around the hassock and they sat on it? Is that what you mean? I don't think so. All right. Where is it? He saw a monk wearing a white cassock, seated on a hassock in the western corner. Is it how you pronounce it anyways?
Cassock.
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 Okay.
Hassock.
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 Hassock. What about British?
Hassock. Hassock.
Hassock. Hassock.
Hassock. Hassock.
Hassock. He saw a monk wearing a white cassock, seated on a hassock in the western corner. He was not yet 50 years of age. His face was inclined upwards, and seemed to have a precious light emanating from it, similar to that of brilliant pearls or precious jade, a natural sheen. He's a very pretty monk. After taking but a few glances at him, Duan Yu felt a sense of veneration and kinship towards him. Taking a glance outside the door, he saw 8 or 9 brutes with savage and fearful appearances. Clearly, they were not from the Central Plains. Thus, they must be attendants or servants from which the enlightened Lord of the Great Wheel brought from Tibet. Can a cassock wear a hassock? Oh, wait. A cassock can't wear a sock? No, they can't. Unless you stretch the sock really, really. Wait. The Great Hassock versus Cassock War. Hassock. Cassock. Cassock. Hassock. Enough. Stop. Stop. Wait. Where are we? Almost finished, guys. Jiumozu folded his hands together and said, "Thus spoketh the Buddha. Without birth there is no death. Without filth there is no purity. My mind is slow and dull. I am unable to see past love and hate, life and death. In all my life I have had an extremely close bosom friend. He is a man of the great Song's Gusu province, surnamed Murong, with his personal name being Bo. In the distant past, I met with him by chance and discussed martial arts and swordplay with him. Mr. Murong had a deep knowledge regarding every single martial arts form in the entire world. He gave me pointers and tips for many days. I have always remembered this. I will never dare to forget the great benevolence and deep kindness which Mr. Murong showed me in transmitting to me so many high-level skills and techniques. Unexpectedly, heaven did not extend a gift of long life to the great hero, and Mr. Murong has departed to the western heaven to enjoy bliss. I have a presumptuous request which I hope all of you elders can grant." Abbot Bunyin said, "Enlightened Lord, your close relationship with Mr. Murong was no doubt predestined. Now that the karmic ties which bound you have come to an end, why try to force it? Mr. Murong is now enjoying the delights of the western heaven, greeting Buddha before his lotus pool. How could he possibly still care about the martial arts learning of the mortal world? Enlightened Lord, isn't it a bit pointless for you to act in such a way?" Jiumozu replied, "Abbot, your advice is very cogent, but from birth my disposition has been silly and wild. Despite secluding myself in solitary meditation for over 40 days, I nonetheless found it impossible to forget my former friendship with him. In the past, when Mr. Murong was discussing the sword techniques of the world with me, he was resolute in his opinion that the divine sword of the 6 meridians was the best in the world. The fact that he never had a chance to see it with his own eyes was his greatest regret in all his life." Abbot Bunyin said, "Our monastery is secluded here in the distant south. For us to be esteemed so highly by Mr. Murong is a great honor for us. But why is it that in the past, Mr. Murong himself did not come personally to ask for a chance to see the manuscript of this skill?" Jiamoju let out a long sigh. A grieved expression was on his face, and he did not speak for a long time. Finally, he said, Mr. Murong knew that this manuscript was the most precious treasure of this venerable monastery, transmitted down generation to generation. Naturally, he would not be permitted to view it. He knew that the Duan family, despite being the rulers of Dali, had never forgotten the code of righteousness and their former ties with the Jianghu. He knew that the Duan family loved the common man and was filled with benevolence. He could not bring himself to steal or forcibly take the manuscript. Ren Yin thanked him, saying, Mr. Murong praised us too highly. Since Mr. Murong esteemed the Dali's Duan family so highly, you yourself, as his close friend, enlightened lord, should take his wishes into consideration. All right, I think we're going to stop here because we're halfway through the chapter. All right, guys. Oh, the story is published in 1963. Yeah, a long time ago. All right, did you guys like this chapter? Not a lot of action, but a lot of things happened. So it looks like Duan Yu learned another martial arts, like the secret, the strongest martial arts in the Duan family. And now he has like, so he has both good martial arts and an abundance of chi. Well, I guess he doesn't know how to fight yet, right? He doesn't know how to use it. But he secretly learned it. Yeah, you get a song. Okay, what song do you want me to karaoke? Oh, God. All right. I've opened a new bottle of wine. Ugh. Oh, this is. You want to see? There you go. You like the super secret, not secret at all manuscript? Dun, dun, dun. All right. Oops. Cheers.